First of all, we got to stop lying to the American people, okay? Because unfortunately, a lot of people aren't building wealth in marriage, right? I know that that's a selling point, and I do get that. But I loved how Delvin ended it by saying to not be broke. So it doesn't have to be building wealth. It could just be to help you stave off inflation. It could be to not be broke. Right now,
Positive.
if you have financial literacy and the tools, the wherewithal, and financial discipline, then yes, you can get together and build wealth. You guys get together and get a plan. But like when I hear numbers like how many percentage of Americans don't have $1,000 in their bank account for an emergency, that tells me that, and many of them are married too, so not just single people. That tells me that we're not really building a lot of wealth. So I think we just got to be a little bit more honest, right, about that part, right? So I want to say that, right? Now I think what's implicit here to me is that if I am a rich man of a certain age and status, that maybe marriage is not for him, right, or for me, and I'm not going to disagree with that. That may sound kind of fucked up to say to a certain extent, but there are legitimately ways that I could move if I want companionship, right? Without putting my assets at risk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know that there's prenups and all that, but we've also seen a history where people find a way to get through those or make your life a little bit more. So if you're able with power and prestige to be able to have a concubine or a woman who's willing to serve in that role, if you're willing to take care of her, I mean, I know we're not going to talk about Diddy, even though the case is still starting, but there's a lot of women like, what's the old girl, the rapper, who was cool with just being taken care of and kind of moving around. There's probably going to be women who are cool with just kind of being your main thing without you having to get a ring thing. You dig what I'm saying? So I get why certain men, especially I guess even Paul Pierce, I'm not exactly sure about his whole situation, but if he got a couple kids out there, he's not looking to have a family necessarily. He's apparently having the best time of his life. So for him, marriage don't make sense. Absolutely. So I can't get mad from his vantage point of what he's saying. And like I said, he's the one that also didn't see his mom getting married till 70. So in his mind, maybe the utility only starts or stops there because that's what he's seeing. So I'm not mad at his vantage point. And I also think there's a lot of truth to what he's saying from men because I hear guys concerned about it. The problem is for a lot of y'all niggas who don't got the financial resources to be worried about somebody taking half, y'all bringing up this argument doesn't really hold any fucking weight. You dig what I'm saying? So check this out. If you, while you're poor, because I agree with him there, while you're poor, if you build with the sister and then together y'all come up and make millions, you'll probably feel less bad about giving her half. Right? But if you make it before you met her, I'm not mad at your position. But like, y'all niggas ain't there yet. So yes, it makes sense. So I do agree with him about the poor people thing. 1,000% because if I'm rich and I'm single and able to have what I want, why the fuck would I do that? We got to be honest, y'all, because if we're not honest, people gonna think we out here pushing marriage on some bullshit, right? So we got to be honest enough to say that from a man's position, if he is privileged financially, then there are some pitfalls to him saying, "I do." Hey, I'm gonna put you on my life, on my life insurance. I'm gonna make sure you're straight. I mean, there's some niggas out here just dropping bags. Hey, here's your little something. Matter of fact, give me the Bill Belichick plan. Because apparently Bill Belichick is already 73. So the same shit y'all talking about, you think he get married again? No, he got him a 24-year-old multi-purpose Swiss Army knife. Okay, shorty take pictures. You know what I'm saying? She probably, book his meal, his plane. She's a fucking PR person, and yes, she's probably wiping his ass, and he has enough money to do that. So not all old people should be getting married. You dig what I'm saying? Now, if you're a poor old person, so guess what? Poor people, poor old people should definitely get married. Okay? Definitely 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? Find somebody that you can just, just be okay with for a little bit until you work through your plan. You got a 10-year plan, you have a 10-year marriage. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So stop playing, man. Yes, he's telling the truth, but y'all don't like the messenger, and I agree. He's not the greatest messenger, but there's a lot of truth in what he's saying, and it's okay for men to acknowledge that, especially in certain situations. And lastly, there are some people who've already been married. If I've already been married, had a family, right? And so now I'm a little bit in my early 50s, and yeah, I want commitment. Yeah, I want a relationship. But what is the point of doing all that? Most of the time, it might be to placate her. But if you got some resources, my brother, I would just make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that she don't stick you for your papers. You know what I'm saying? Damn, why she had to stick you for your papers?
So I'm going to walk back a small portion of my statement because you know what? I didn't take in consideration that his financial means may be the reason why he's on Jezebel.com, right? Because it was just easier. It was more convenient for him, and it's no strings attached, right? Or so he thinks until the Shannon Sharp situation come up from OnlyFans, and next thing you know, clapping them cheeks for $25,000 a piece is now $50 million. But in the interim, I actually, now, you know what? So I apologize because you're right in regards to his financial stance and his financial capability that it may not make sense for him for or people in the same position with his particular mindset to have a relationship or be married. So I will acknowledge that. I will walk that point.
And in an effort to extend an olive branch, I would just say if a woman out there is financially well to do, she also should protect herself, right? If that guy heard the top of the show and decided to buy Ebony K some flowers and gifts for Mother's Day and was able to, work his way into her heart, I would advise Ebony K, girl, get you a prenup, protect yourself. Okay, because you have assets. So it's not just a man woman thing, but I guess that the expectations of a man's a protector and a provider. So a lot of times those guys are the ones who are making more money. And so it makes sense for them to protect themselves. But I do actually think, and S&M, I'm gonna push back on you too. A lot of times young people are poor people. I don't think he was excluding young people, right? Because I'm a big proponent for people to get married earlier. As I get it, the shift is moving later, but if it's possible, if we can create healthy human beings a little bit sooner who are less traumatized, then maybe they could navigate life and find each other at an earlier point in life, because there are some people who got married relatively young, maybe had a 15, 20-year marriage. Even if it didn't work out, they still had the family, they still had the experiences, and then guess what? They're still our age. Like, I'm outside. You know what I'm saying? My old ass got a 3-year-old. I'm inside. So it's like, you got to pick your poison a little bit. So I get it. Sometimes people already have the experience. They've already ridden the ride or rode the ride, right? They're like, I'm good, man. You know?
So any final thoughts on this before I jump into the next protector?
Keep shooting,
I got
Paul.
one. I got a brief one. And that is, this is a little free game, okay? America is a corporation. The world is kind of a corporate entity and how it does business and transactions or whatever. So if you're not a business, right? You don't have plans to make a business. You're not an entrepreneur. You don't have some invention or some innovation. Then marriage should probably be your business, and that should probably be how you look at it. And y'all should work that thing. So yeah, poor people, old people, broke people, whatever.
And Oprah, you don't need to protect yourself from me. I got you.
Not the Oprah.
You don't need a prenup, Oprah.
That brother ate a high. I said DK.
I was like, you might have to ask, what's his name, to step out the way.
Stedman ain't going nowhere.
That's it. Facts.
He ain't
Going to
going
jail.
nowhere.
Been singing all day.
He ain't going nowhere.
Got to put it out there.
He can't be stopped.
Bad boy
It
for
is
life.
Stedman for life.
I support you shooting your shot.